Hollow Knight was developed by Team Cherry and released in 2017. Now, of course, it's a Metroidvania and has sold over 15 million copies and is loved by basically nearly that many people, maybe even more. And its sequel, Silksong, was recently released. Not that I need to tell you that, as it crashed all the gaming stores and has sold an absolute shedload. I have just started Silksong. I'm a couple of hours in and I'm really enjoying it, so my review for that will be coming at a later date. However, up until this point, I had never actually pushed through and completed Hollow Knight, but I didn't want to pick up Silksong and play it until I did Hollow Knight. So that's what I did. I knuckled down and I just cracked on with it. And I have to say, my god, Hollow Knight is probably my favourite Metroidvania game of all time now, overtaking Super Metroid. Metroid Dread. Even though I really like those games, Hollow Knight has supplanted those for me personally. To the point that I then moved on to try and play Ori and the Blind Forest, and I was getting frustrated with Ori and the Blind Forest because it's not as tight or as good a Metroidvania as Hollow Knight. However, Hollow Knight, the plot is obviously vague. There is a story there, and you play as like an insect warrior. You do not play as the Hollow Knight, just to confuse the casual people who aren't familiar with the franchise. The franchise, 2 games now, but. You are not the Hollow Knight, just so you are aware. And you arrive in the remains of an insect kingdom called Hallownest, and there's a supernatural infection that's kind of ravaged everything, and you'll piece together the story as you're playing, Dark Souls style really, from the NPCs you'll meet and from certain journals that you'll find too, and your objective is to essentially collect upgrades for your character, fight bosses, kill the 3 dreamers, and then enter the Black Egg Temple to fight the Hollow Knight. So the Hollow Knight is the boss. Mild spoiler alert right there. Now, the game does start off slow, as all you can really do is wander around and hack and slash and jump. But after meeting the map guy and buying a couple of essential things from the store in Dirtmouth, you'll be a master navigator in no time. And trust me, you're going to want to buy the quill and the compass to know where the smeg you are on the maps, because they are obviously essential to Metroidvanias, especially here for Hollow Knight. Now, you'll also start by gaining the other abilities like double jump, dash, wall climb, grain pound, etc. And the more you gather, the more epic the game becomes. Obviously, the more movement options you'll have and the more combat options you'll have, which of course is standard fare for all Metroidvanias. But here, it's done very, very, very well. There are also a lot of hidden areas all over the map and plenty to discover. There's also plenty of optional content too. I completed the game in just under 13 hours and with a 42% completion. And then I immediately started a new run because I enjoyed it so much. And to my delight, there was actually several sections of the overall map that I had never been to before. Whole areas, like... I won't spoil them. I won't list them off. But yeah, so basically, well, for one, I'll say I never entered the Royal Waterway on my first playthrough, which is insane to think about now that I've gone through on my second playthrough and I've uncovered the entire map. You know, I've bought the map for the whole thing, got the Steam achievement for it, and it's a pretty big game. It's not as big as Silksong, because I've seen Silksong's overall map, and that is absolutely gimondo. But Hollow Knight does still have a pretty big map. There's also plenty of, like, there are some minor side quests that you can do. They are kind of vague, kind of like Dark Souls. So I think Silksong handles, so far from what I've played of Silksong, it handles side quests a little better than Hollow Knight. But Hollow Knight is still good. There's still things that you can gather and whatnot, which is pretty cool. There's charms to find and to buy, which can be equipped to give you certain buffs. You can find items to upgrade your health and your spirit. Spirit is used to regain your health, and you get it mainly from hitting enemies, but also there are these glowing statues that kind of lurk about, so you can get it from there. So health is readily available. There's also a load of caterpillar larvae to find too, which you'll be rewarded for finding them if you return to their father, who for some reason isn't out looking for his children, just sat there crying whilst waiting for you, a stranger, to go and look for his kids. Makes no sense to me, but hey-ho, that's what's happening. You can also upgrade your weapon, which is called the Nail. It's besides the main abilities needed to complete the game that you can also unlock, there's also optional abilities to find and unlock too. I can honestly say that the boss fights are a lot of fun. Some of them are two-tiered, so you'll beat them, think you've beaten them, and then oh no, we're going again, which is pretty cool. I'm also happy to say, well, I was impressed with myself that without looking at any walkthroughs for the final boss, I beat him on my second try. So it got to a point where I played the game so much in a short space of time. I think I put like 20 hours in it within 1 week. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of gamers out there, because I mentioned my hour count for Baldur's Gate 3 in one of those videos, which was like, I don't know, 200, 150, 200 hours, whatever it is now, and people are scoffing at that, going, ha, I have 1,000. It's like, yeah, that's great, but I have a full-time job and 2 children, and I play a plethora of other games. So to put 20 hours into a game within a week is damn good going, for me, personally. But just playing it, I became good, and after playing 2-3 hours of Silksong, and of course there's a lot of complaints that Silksong is brutally hard and blah blah blah, I don't think it's brutally hard at all. Coming straight from Hollow Knight into Silksong, it feels about right. It's a little, obviously, Hornet handles a little differently to the little knight you play as in Hollow Knight, so with her diagonal dive, but because I saw obviously people struggling with all those roses that you have to sort of diagonally jump off of in Silksong, and I have to be honest, I've had no problems whatsoever with those. I just, oh, that's the mechanic, do that, boom, you're sorted. It is, I think, a massive get good scenario, and not to say that the game is perfect. I haven't completed the game as of yet, so I don't know any balancing, but there has been a patch or two since since before I picked it up, so I've not played it direct from raw. But if you have not played Hollow Knight or Silksong, I absolutely urge you to start with Hollow Knight. Not that you need to play Hollow Knight to play Silksong, you do not at all in the slightest. They may be in the same world and share the same character, because Hornet is obviously in Hollow Knight. But you can just play either one first. But I would suggest Hollow Knight, because it's a little more friendly to a newer player, whereas Silksong, with some of the enemies and the areas and all the type of stuff, it's a tad more gnarly, but it's not unachievable at all in the slightest. Like a lot of the bosses in Silksong I've beaten first try, but again I've coming straight off the heels of Hollow Knight, and Hollow Knight is an absolutely fantastic Metroidvania. There's really nothing I dislike about the game. There's the frustrations where if you get killed, you lose all of your geo, and then you go back to the last bench you rested at, and then you have to go and get back to your spirit to get them back, and then sometimes you can die in between. Typical Dark Souls style kind of stuff, but a frustration does not, for me personally, it's part and parcel of the gameplay. It's part of it. It's not Hollow Knight. If you know what you're doing and where you're going, it's not a very long game. If you want to power through, there is also free DLC that's been added, where you can take part in a plethora of other optional content as well. Again, it's content I did not try upon my first playthrough, but this time I am definitely going around upgrading the Dream Nail. I won't go into it for spoiler reasons, but for those who know, then that's what I've been doing for my second playthrough, and I've just got to beat one more boss with one of the dream fights, and I should have enough to fully upgrade it. And you probably know where I'm going with that if you're familiar with Hollow Knight. But please, I urge you, if you have not played it, check it out. It is a really damn good Metroidvania. It's a very good game. It has a phenomenal art style. The music is incredible. And yeah, both these games are absolutely incredible, and I hope there is a third one. I hope there's more to come, or maybe a Hollow Knight 2, I don't know, but it took them 7 years to develop Silksong, so I wouldn't get too excited about anything coming out in the foreseeable future. I think just DLC for Silksong, if I'm honest. Free or paid, I don't know, but I'm gonna guess that's what we're gonna be getting now for the foreseeable near decade. But please let me know down below what you think of Hollow Knight if you have played it. I'm so glad I've completed it and I played it. The game has multiple endings, so it warrants multiple playthroughs, and there is of course the Steel Heart mode where it has permadeath, which sounds absolutely daunting. I will attempt it one day, maybe, but you know, not right now. But thank you very much for watching.
La fenu venido.